Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We have reached our last day of workshop. Today, we'll continue with topic Machine Learning Session 3. Today, we also have associate speakers from China who will present their work. So, without further ado, let's begin our session. Mr. Eric, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. We're just getting the agenda up for this morning, but yeah, thank you for everybody for coming back. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll try the other microphone. Yeah. I'll start again. Good morning. That's better. So yeah, this morning is our last day of the conference, and of course, our last part of our ML session, so session 3. So thank you all for coming back. The first, say, 10-15 minutes, I just want to recap a little what we did yesterday, and then we're gonna dial in. We got people from the hub in China already on standby available, and they're gonna give us a presentation later. But I think first of all, I really want to thank for all the people that helped make this conference possible, and I'd like to particularly thank the team back in the UK, part of the Data Science International team. So they've been working for weeks on this to prep me to get ready for this. So this I really much appreciate it, and of course always great support from the UN, from the regional hubs, and also from the different task teams. So I really want to acknowledge that. So even though there's a few of us here standing, there's a lot of people in the background working on this the whole time. For this morning as well, I think what I would like to do yesterday, I think yesterday afternoon was really powerful, actually, to have the different areas, like just sitting together and discuss at the regional level what the possible needs are. And I think we very much established that it comes from different levels. But I think, I mean, I can only refer, of course, to the group I was sitting in, and I learned a lot just to listen very carefully to Palestine, listening very careful to the UAE, and see how we can work together in that region to find a project going forward. And I think that's so powerful in these one-to-one discussions here. So I think we really have a good opportunity, we have a good objective here to actually to look ahead now. What can we achieve possibly over the next 6 months in readiness for the World Data Forum? I think that's very important for that. I think also what we want to do is we want to make sure, of course, that there are follow-ups. It's always very important when you go and leave a conference that something happens afterwards, because I think our brains can only take so much information. We're all quite satellite. So let's recap in a while, in maybe a couple of weeks. I just suggested here at the panel that maybe we could do like a half-hour call or something just to go through the information that we learned, and actually then make for ourselves some kind of action list over the next 6 months, what we possibly can achieve. And then I really like the leads and the regional hubs to actually of course in partnership with the task teams to take charge of that and actually see what we can achieve on that. I'm just going to hand over to Ari, because I think Ari wants to also say a few things, and then also to Veronica, and then I give some background on some training we're offering, and then we'll start at today's program. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everyone. So thank you for yesterday's discussion. We have learned a lot about our own experience in each organization regarding the opportunities as well as the challenges in implementing the machine learning and incorporating the big data to our organization. Most of our organization are the national statistical offices. We have been discussing regarding the legal issues, regarding the human resources issues, regarding the computing resources issues, and many things. But we believe that there are many other issues that we can consider, as well as we can learn from each other. And today we would like to have another more deeper discussion, and Eric will give some examples of how we can collaborate together in front of the challenges that we are facing so far. And in this session, I guess we would like to have a more feedback and more inputs and more discussion from all of the organization regarding your experience, your deeper experience, and what we can do together in the future. So today we will have more discussion and experiments from the regional hub in China, and I guess we can learn a lot from that. And their topic was the Earth observation for agricultural statistics. If I'm not mistaken, yesterday we learned a lot from the Earth observation that will be used for the alternative data and alternative indicator for our official statistics. And some of the national statistical offices as well as international organizations are planning to incorporate the satellite images. So I guess this morning session that we received the experiments from the regional hub in China will be valuable for us. So looking forward to more deeper discussion with you, and I guess this is just all from my side, and I will be handling to Veronica if you have any other say.
Yeah, just very briefly, good morning everyone. I just also wanted to thank the organizers and also every one of you for welcoming me as someone from the private sector. I hope I showed you that we are not as threatening as it might sometimes seem, or as unapproachable. So yesterday you had the chance to play around with our data a little bit. I hope you found it useful, and maybe we can continue the conversation and find opportunities to work together. And if there's interest, maybe also have a webinar or a bit more training so you can get a deeper understanding of the data, and that we can discuss how we can share it. Yeah, and it's been really inspirational to be part of this, and yesterday's discussion was very interesting, and I think a lot can be gained if we all work better together. And I think with that, I'll hand back over to Eric.
Thank you, Veronica. If you go to the next slide, please. So I just want to introduce two things of training that's happening very soon. So if I could ask maybe Christoph to say a minute about the course he talked about last night that will be available to everyone. So Christoph, over to you.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning, everybody. I just wanted to announce that the SIAP is launching this second run of the machine learning for official statistics and SDG indicators. Very soon, it's on 21st of November. This course lasts for 8 weeks because there's Christmas in the middle, so we'll have a break. The registration is open. You can just go to our website, and it's free. I will mention that anybody can come, even though if the target participants are analysts from NSO with a little bit of experience in programming, if that's possible. It's also fine if you don't have any experience in programming, you will get a lot from this. So there are 7 modules, 6 plus 1. One is basically just the catch-up of what the fundamental of analysis we can have and how machine learning works. We have lots of case studies. I must also mention that in all the activity, some of them have been prepared with ADB, and I'm happy that Joseph and Daniel were there at this conference, but also Arturo. So there are lots of different activity you can pick up. You're not obliged to do everything. You're welcome to come. It will be a paced course, so every week you have new modules, and every week there is a webinar which will be an Asian time. Unfortunately, for those of you, it may not be convenient, but it will be recorded and put on the platform afterwards. And finally, within the first webinar, In-Kyung Choi from the UNEC Machine Learning 2022 will come and provide a lecture there. So it should be fun and interesting. You can pass the word to anybody interested in your NSO. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christoph. I saw quite a few people taking photos of this for the slides, so we're looking forward to join Christoph in that session. Next slide, please. And Christoph already mentioned the machine learning work group. So as we said yesterday, we have our final event booked for November the 30th. So we have 2 sessions. One in the morning, so this is Central European time, 10 till 11:30, and then one in the afternoon from 3 till 4:30, where we're going to very much look at the use cases which we actually built this year. So in the morning we're going to look at web scraping, text classification, imagery data, and AAS data. And of course, the afternoon, then we're going to look at quality of training data, model retraining, and IT infrastructure. These are the 7-8 groups that we really analyzed and put a lot of effort into this week. So it would be really great to see many of you there. We did a very similar event last year, and I think we had close to 300 people joining from, I think it was close to 50 countries around the world just to listen in and in the different updates. So I really like to encourage. It's all free. It will be run again by Inkyun from the UNEC and by Alison in my team. And also it gives you an opportunity to learn more about, because next year this group won't be there anymore in the same capacity. So we're still looking for organizations that are willing to take at least a part of this stuff. And so if you got particularly interest in an area, for example, training data, well, let's talk to us. And we try to put some people together and that you can formulate your own group. I spoke quite intensely already with Ronald, where we looked at the Data Scientist Leaders Network, that we are for sure going to have a team in there that we're really going to focus on machine learning. Of course, then we really rely on this team to make sure that we have input in that. So I think there is, we've done a lot of work on this, but I think we still have lots of opportunity to develop this further. And actually, but what we need, of course, we need people that were initially observers now become really participants and contributors. So that's really how we try to move these things forward. It's a very similar model as we're doing with the regional hubs. So the support is there from the UN all the time, of course, and ONS has been very keen to support it. We want the regional hubs to take more and more themselves to within your area, within your region, start running that. So that would be really good for us to see that, and then we can start focusing on the next things. So with that, I'd like to now go to my next slide. So we'll give the hub in China a few minutes to get ready. So I'd like to start in about 2 minutes. But before we do that, I'm just going to look and browse around the room. Are there any questions at the moment? No, that's okay. I realize it's Friday morning. It's been a long week for many people. Okay, so we're going to listen in now to the hub in China, and we will have a presentation from Duan Yamin, a PhD candidate from the Beijing Normal University, and of course he's going to talk about the Earth observation from agriculture statistics. I think I also need a break. So that will be about half an hour, and then at 9 o'clock I will give a quick recap, and then we go back to our group discussions that we had yesterday. So we will split the room up again per area, and we'll do that for an hour till 10 o'clock. So I'll just check now online if Duan is available. Duan, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, good morning.
I
Welcome.
can hear you. Good morning, good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, apologies if I didn't say your name correctly.
Yeah, my name is Duan Yaming.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay.
We can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Duan Yaming, and I'm the assistant to Professor Zhang, and also a PhD candidate from Beijing University. And I'm very glad to have this opportunity to attend this conference. The topic of my report is Intelligent Remote Sensing Crop Mapping Framework. Okay, my presentation includes these 4 parts, and I will discuss the background and introductory series of remote sensing and deep learning technologies for crop mapping in the first 2 parts, and some cases that serve or implement in large-scale crop mapping tasks will be introduced in the 3rd part. Finally, I will provide a prospect for generalizing the framework to wider scenarios or applications. Firstly, the global food security is facing a severe challenge caused by population growth, climate change, poverty, and marketing. Precise and in-time crop mapping is the most fundamental database to guide stable agricultural activities to balance and even resist these driving factors. And as all we know, remote sensing satellites are photographing all over the world all the time. The growing number of satellites and the continuous and all-cover monitoring makes the remote sensing data too big data. Okay, in recent years, deep learning has made great progress. Deep learning is a data-driven algorithm which learns from massive data and has powerful performance and a strong generalization. So deep learning method is potential for combining RS data together naturally. Many researches are presented like object detections for ships, aircrafts, or buildings, and land use, land cover mapping, and like crop mapping, and some other. However, a few of them are applied to large-scale tasks in real. Next, I will explain why deep learning is difficult to be applied to large-scale remote sensing monitoring tasks from deep learning and remote sensing respectively. Deep learning simulates how the human brain deals with the signals. Taking the visual signals as an example, the visual signal comes from the eyes and goes through the neurons in a specific sequence. Then the brain cortex gives the judgment like a triangular is at the place 3 as shown in the PPT. And in practice, deep learning usually implements the neural networks to decoding or to encoding or decoding the input data. Like convolutional neural networks, the famous structure for image classification, segmentation in the computer vision. And the input image of the CNN is processed to generate the final output through the layer by layer structure. In training process, CNN is capable to extract and aggregate the spatial and the spectral information automatically and generate the pixel-wise result in production. However, it relies on huge computation power and massive data to ensure its performance. So it's not easy to develop a CNN model from scratch and with very small data. For remote sensing, there are 3 main uncertainties that are easy to confuse the algorithms. According to the 3 key elements of photographing, the target, medium, and the sensor, the diversities of remote sensing data can be divided accordingly into the sensor diversity, the temporal and spatial diversity, and of the target surface elements, and the atmospheric effect. Due to the block and the blurring of the cloud, atmospheric uncertainty determines the validity of the remote sensing data. And the other 2 uncertainties may lead to the representing confusion in remote sensing data. These uncertainties are potential to fail the algorithm for crop mapping. We provided several solutions to avoid even solve these problems. Firstly, to ensure the validity of remote sensing data, we developed automatic cloud and cloud shadow detection method connected after the general remote sensing processing. This can be very useful to keep the data available. And secondly, we developed a CNN model for extracting various information from remote sensing imageries. And this model can be refit as flexibly as possible to match different tasks, including crop mapping or mapping the cultivated field or body, water body like so. Based on the foregoing, I will introduce several cases that are successfully applied in statistical business in China. Before that, I will present the overall framework of the key systematic methods. The remote sensing technique has served crop mapping for decades. Many sections owns massive archive data from the finished remote sensing tasks. We proved that the archive data, which is imperfect compared with the man-made one, is fully capable of training deep learning models well. And we developed a repository of deep learning models with archived data. And the models correspond to specific tasks such as like rice mapping, mice mapping, or etc. When demand rises in the present, we can query in the repository with the data and the task called the scenario here. Then those choose the appropriate approach to finish the task is the best choice. Okay, the overall framework is as shown. And the case one is I will share is the cloud and cloud shadow detection method. Cloud cover is inevitable and frequently randomly appears everywhere. Detection and removal of the clouds and its shadow are fundamental for ensuring the data validity. We developed a cloud and cloud shadow detection method that is applicable to most optical satellites, including the Landsat from the US, the Sentinel series optical series from Europe, and the Gaofen series from China. We also proposed a data augmentation method for dealing sensor variety and enhance the shadow detection performance, which is very helpful for model training and its generalization. And the results and the corresponding assessments show that our method has very high performance for detecting SIG and the thin clouds as well as shadow. As for cloud removal, we usually use the multi-temporal or multi-sensor image compositing to fill the cloud detected area. And the case two is the cultivated field parcel detection. And the cultivated parcel detection, cultivated parcel is the basic space for planting and other cultivated activities. Accurate cultivated land area is the basis for mastering the agriculture situation in a region. At the same time, the land parcel data can provide the boundary for the subsequent work and can refine the mapping result. From this motive, we developed an automatic cultivated field parcel delineation method, and it can serve the satellite like Gaofen Google Map or Tianditu in China. This method is based on very high resolution images and is capable to produce vectorized field puzzle data and in an end-to-end framework. Means it's totally automatically. This method utilizes the RSNet, which is the most powerful and advanced deep learning model that in our group, and we use that to extract the feature of the field puzzles and their boundaries together and generate field puzzle vector data through a post-processing module. The post-processing module decodes the deep learning features and automatically generates the polygons corresponding to the field puzzles. To be more detailed, the post part can generate the dual line according to a threshold you entered. For example, you can stipulate the road between two field puzzles should be delineated as two bounds with a gap when its width is larger than 10 meters or other width, so that we can improve the accuracy of the crop mapping results, water body mapping results with it. And the results of the field puzzle extractions are shown. It can achieve an area accuracy of nearly 94%, and it has become a standard step in our crop mapping task. So case 3 illustrates the results that the rice mice mapping model trained with archive data, like I mentioned. Unlike the traditional machine learning methods, deep learning can make the mapping more precise, automatic, efficient, and reliable. As for the result, the deep learning achieved overall accuracy of 92%, higher than 91% from the historical task that used conventional machine learning method support vector machine called SVM. And some details are shown here, and it's enough to represent the model's reliability. We can say that even in the mountainous area or the plain, the model can achieve a very high performance. Okay, with the support of the first 3 cases, very accurate and automatic large-scale crop mapping can be settled. Based on the model in case 3, we directly applied it to another region that has a similar landscape and a cultivating structure compared with the conventional machine learning method SVM and its huge amount of labor cost. Our method achieved slightly better performance and takes very little cost. In another case, we illustrate the case of an early rice mapping task in mid-eastern China. The deep learning model is trained using historical data too. We test that the model directly used on the present data, which are illustrated in the column A and C. Then we labeled a few present data to fine-tune the model, which is training the model with a small data set and slight parameter changes. And the result demos are shown in columns B and D. From the quantitatively assessment, the model fine-tuned with a small data set achieved slightly improvement against the directly using one, and both of them satisfied the business requirements. And so next, I will summarize the crop mapping framework that we proposed. From the basis, we have constructed a scenario repository that stores the models for the different tasks with different formats of input data. These predefined scenarios come from historical tasks using the method in aforementioned case 3. When present demand arises, query in the repository via the present scenario, like what is the target crop formatting, what is the format of the input data. If there is a predefined scenario matching the present task, the model will be selected. Next, we will compare the specific details between the historical and present tasks and analyze these details, such as the difference in landscape, planting structure, and other surface diversity, or the different satellites to decide whether to fine-tune the model or directly use it. If there is no matched scenario, the method in case 3 can be applied, and the resulting model can be added to the repository for continuous monitoring in the future. And it's just like an initiation of a long-time task. It's just a beginning. And in the future, we can repeatedly use that. Okay, and based on the framework, we have a prospect to serve more scenarios or regions in the future. For example, there is a task for mapping the main crop somewhere in Southeastern Asia, and we got the corresponding images that entirely cover that place. The processing containing the necessary correction, cloud detection, and removal will be applied, and the big data will be organized and stored according to a grid mesh and in a spatial database. And the landscape data source and some other metrics are extracted for analyze. Query the scenario in our database or repository, like the landscape change, pre-processing change, sensor change. These 3 example scenario in yellow is the potential to be used directly, or we can fine-tune it. And the target crop types change and the target method change. These 2 yellow scenario, these 2 red scenarios means that we may need refeed the model and retrain it with the method in case 3. Finally, production system will be built, and with the data input, the end-to-end framework always produces satisfied results. And in the continuous year-by-year production, it can maintain the very high performance. Okay, that's all my reports. Thank you. If there is any interest or confusion, welcome to contact us by email or our GitHub. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Duan, for introducing your research. I'm also sorry to maybe mistakenly pronouncing your names. So I have 3 questions from your interesting presentation. There are at least 4 use cases that you introduced to us here regarding how we can use the Earth observation data and the machine learning or deep learning techniques to get the useful information. The first use case you introduced to us how we can detect the clouds and finally how we can remove the cloud from the satellite's images. I have one question here from the first use case. If we are able to detect the cloud, which you mentioned, most of the satellite images contains clouds, and around 60% satellite images are covered with the cloud. And if we are able to remove the cloud, and then it will give us just the blank area, which give us the no beneficial information on what specific objects are there in the Earth's surface. So how we are dealing with this, and what is the aim of the cloud removal here that will give us another beneficial information to detect what specific land cover or specific object on the Earth's surface. So that was my first question. The second question regarding your second use cases, which I consider it's very interesting, the field parcel delineation. You introduced to us how we can detect the border or the delineation of the field parcel, which is very helpful for us as well in BPS Indonesia, because we have a lot of agricultural land and fields. So it might be beneficial for us to study more into this. But my question was how you can check or calculate the overall accuracy that you introduced in your second use case. As to the best of my understanding, how we can calculate the accuracy is we compare the true positive rates and the true negative rates, meaning that if you are able to detect the border correctly, then it is the true positive. But the true negative means that it is not the border or it's not the delineation, but also it's not detected as no border or something else, right? So what is the unit here? What is the unit here? Is your unit is the pixels or the object or something else? I guess it's easier for us to detect the true positive, but the true negative is out of my understanding. So it will be good if you can explain more about this one. And my last question regarding your fourth use cases, which is very interesting, and I guess we can learn a lot from that. The crop mapping, you introduced that you got a very promising result with the F1 score, 60 to 70%, and we already know that this is kind of like the hard problem to solve. But maybe you can introduce to us what will be your future direction to improve the performance of your model, especially the F1 score. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. As for the first problems about the cloud and cloud shadow detection, I think the detection, the target for the detection is to find that the invalid area and block them, and the rest of the data can be used very efficiently. As for how to remove, we use the ways like something in Google Earth Engine, the reduce method, and we because for most crop mapping tasks, the images are composited in a time range with many maybe satellites. Because if we detect the invalid data and we zip all the valid data together and composite them into one image, that makes the data very useful. And the second problem, the field puzzles accuracy assessment problem, I think you mentioned the very you mentioned the key problem. Yeah, the boundary and the unit. We think in the future extraction, processing, the unit may be pixel, but we mentioned carefully that we generate the vectorized data, field parcel data, means that we think it's a polygon and its boundary is virtual. The virtual boundary has no unit. It's just a boundary, and it's surrounded area, which is the field. And as for the assessment, accuracy assessment, we think the man-made label is not the perfect also. So we just use the area accuracy to assessment it, just like the normal crop field mapping method. But the result of our method is vectorized. It's vector data, and it's very useful. Although some boundaries or edges are not detected as what we wished, but it's also very useful. And the last problem, you say our method may be very promising. I think it's because we limited the model's generalization. Because the reason that we developed the framework or we built the repository is that we need a model or database to provide opportunity to extend our model or method to a larger area. And the fine-tune or transfer learning method is the very important to apply your model to a strange new place. So if you want a promising result in a new area with the old model, I think we usually generate or labeled a very precise, a small labeled database to fine-tune the model and make the model very, we call that process the model localization. So I think I answered what I raised. I think I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Duan.
Yes.
Thank you. That was really some really good comprehensive answers there. So I really appreciate that. I'm just looking around the room. Are there any questions from the room? Oh, from Christoph. We're just going to get the mic over to Christoph. Thank you, Christoph.
Thank you for your presentation. You just mentioned the pre-trained model and also the fact that you're using transfer learning. Does that mean that this pre-trained model, up to your opinion and to your work, could be easily transferable to other countries? And if that is the case, is that something you think of using the hub to share this pre-trained model and to use transfer learning to apply to different countries? Do you think this could work? Because I think in the room, many people would be interested to have already pre-trained model so that could really apply to their country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think to answer your questions, I think there are two aspects. From the deep learning aspect, we know that pre-trained model is just initiation of the model parameters. If we use little amount of data to fine-tune that or transfer learning that, maybe it can't get the best performance. But in the aspect of remote sensing, the pre-training model has the data distribution or the feature distribution to transfer using the model in the different country or different time or different crop types. We, in our opinion, the key point is to align the data distribution. If we are planting the rice in the Eastern China, is same as the country somewhere planting the rice, we can use same data structure and the same model to realize the task. And also the very there is a very there is a constraint of the rising of crop planting. Like we plant the rice in the February, and somewhere plant the rice in May, just for example. So we, in the image selection and the organization, we should focus on that and try our best to align the time, the sensor types, and other constructions. So in our practice, it can be solved very well by the by what I said. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, that's really good. Thank you for the question, Christoph. It's a really good question, how we can actually benefit from working with the regional hub in China. I can just see we also got the hub in China available to us. Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate that you're there. And thank you so much for organizing this presentation for us. Hi, Shongxi. Good morning. So what we do now is we're going to go back into what we did yesterday afternoon. We're going to go into the smaller groups. So it would be really good if the hub in China can stay engaged with this call. So my colleague Roth from UNSCAP, he will lead the table for that. So it would be really good to have your input in there as well. And so I'm just going to put the picture of what we did yesterday. So for yesterday, so what we started to look, we started to really like to understand better how the different hubs across the world can work better together. So I'm just looking at the room here. So if we could maybe have on the left there, I can see I can see Jordan and Egypt. If maybe people from the MENA region can join that. I can see our guest from Qatar there as well. So maybe if you're happy to join the region for MENA, that would be really good. I can see the Hub for Africa here in the middle, led by Therese, and I think Ralph is going to help facilitating that. I can see Roth and Christoph there, so they will definitely run the regional hub for China and lead those discussions. And then we have, of course, next to me, we have Ari and Bartel Veronica, and they will lead what we called yesterday the rest of the world. So hopefully, if Mexico and Colombia are in the room, that would be really good. So we probably find a corner. I'm not sure. We can stay there. We can see most of you there. So I think I will join the table for the MENA region, and let's continue this discussion. So I will probably ask for the room to be muted now, so that actually that we did the same yesterday, that Roth and Christoph can actually have the sound open to talk to our colleagues in the hub in China. I just take this picture away again. So is everybody happy with that? So for you online in China, was that all clear? So I'm just trying to look at the screen. Yeah. Could you maybe just wave that I was loud and clear? Okay. So on the board we put the questions from yesterday as a little reminder, but I'm now going to go to the next slide. So we'll try to get a copy of it as well. We got, say, the second small group discussions. So this is really like continuing with the yesterday. So this is only a guideline. Don't feel at all that you have to follow these questions, but this is just to start helping us to build that use case. And I think I said in my introduction as well, what we really want to do, we will have a follow-up in I would like to think in about 3 weeks' time. And of course, after this session, and so I like to stop this at say 9:45, 10 to 10, and then we will go around the different tables to give some general feedback. We'll take some notes for that. And of course, then by 10:15, Ari and myself and Bart and Veronica, we will sum up what we've done so far, and of course, try to explain what we propose as our next steps. So with that, I'll ask everybody now to join the different groups, and then we'll continue yesterday's discussion. Ari, would it be possible that we get a copy out for question 1 and 2? Yeah, could we? Yeah, and then we maybe put them on the tables as a guideline. Thank you. Any further questions before we start this? No? Okay. I'll see you at the table. Thank you.
Winter season is fine for us.
Hi, good morning. This is Rod from UNESCAP. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Duan, thank you so much for joining us. I'm also checking if the colleague from UNBDC is able to hear us as well.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yes, Mazov. Yes, so yes. The purpose, perhaps I can explain the purpose of this small group discussion a bit. So yesterday we had a small group discussion to go through the questions and also fill in the Excel spreadsheet that I can perhaps share with you right now. I hope you can access it. It's in a shared Google Drive. Please let me know if you cannot access it. It is in the shared Google Drive, and it's on row 10, 11, 12, 13. What we're trying to do with this part of the workshop is to fill in the columns in the spreadsheet, sort of information about an idea or two for a proof of concept or a pilot project to be practical. And we're aiming to see if we can work with the regional hub to make sure that this project materializes. In this case, we've identified for the time being 4 projects. If you can access the link, there are 4 rows. You have row 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are the ideas that we have at the moment. And I can recap to you. So essentially, we have the first one focusing on using machine learning to identify major crops, which is essentially what you just presented on. Essentially, how if we are going ahead with that approach, it would essentially means just extending what you've or sharing lessons on what you've done to our colleagues in Asia and Pacific. That is if we're going ahead with that option. Second option is to look at the use of machine learning to digitize road network that we can use to construct the rural access index or to meet the international road roughness index. And this is a new one. I'm not sure if it aligns with what you're doing, but this is what our country had discussed yesterday and identified that it would be helpful. The fourth one is very similar as well as on crop identification as well. Except they wanted to include the ideas of drone in the identification of the crop fields. I don't know if you have looked into that and whether you have looked into the feasibility of doing so. The last is on poverty estimation. I think you have done something on that as well. So it's basically the reason why we mentioned that is that it's very difficult to visit a household, especially during a pandemic, and for countries that are very sparsely populated, it can be very costly to go and collect information on them. So we're looking to see if there's a way to use machine learning to better identify poverty. So those are the 4 ideas that we have at the moment, and the goal is to pick one idea to produce a proof of concept or a pilot project that the regional hub can work with the countries on before the World Data
roundtable discussions shortly. I can see Asia Pacific is finished. We finished there with the Middle East as well, so hopefully Africa and the rest of the world can also wrap up the discussions. And then I want to give each group 5 minutes just to brief and see what kind of actions we want to take and actually how we take this forward. And then at 20 past, Ari and myself will wrap up, and then we want to be out this room at past, so we have coffee before I think they're going to set up the rooms for us, I think, for the final event. So yeah, let's do that. So if I may ask first, change the mic. That's
weird.
Okay. Okay.
Because your sound is really like this one.
Apparently, yes, this is much better. Sorry. So we're going to recap now, and I'm going to ask if that's okay for Ross. And are you ready today to do the first one? Yeah. Okay. I hand over to Ross for Asia Pacific. So if I'm sure we got some notes for you as well, guys. But if somebody wants to take some notes, that would be appreciated. Over to you, Ross.
No worries. Thanks, Eric. So we had a very good chat with our colleague from the regional hub of China, Mr. Duan, who shared with us what he was working on and also gave some really good insights into what we proposed as well. We had 3 ideas that we shared with him, one on crop identification, second on digitizing road network, and last one on poverty. We've had a good discussion on all three, but the last two seems to be less relevant, at least for all of the countries, and the crop identification seems to be the one to go for our countries, for the Philippines and Bangladesh. Essentially, what we're thinking about is, there's a reason why we wanted to work on this, and that is, there's a need to fill in the gap for SDG indicator productions, and particularly for the Philippines, they're going to have their census on agriculture, I believe next year, this year. No, actually, I think next year. And also just to idea of the quality of data for crop identifications and digitizing it. There are a few methods that we discuss, and we have a good idea in terms of cost efficiency as well. We're considering whether we should use deep learning or shallow learning, whether we pick the whole of the countries or just certain areas, and more detail needs to be discussed, but it's a good choice because both countries wants it, and also at the same time China has been doing great work in this area already, so it's a very good unity, and hopefully by by the time we're done with this, we're able to present at the World Data Forum in April. So that's it. We will be in touch and we'll talk more about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Roth and Christoph and the whole team to running that. That's really interesting to already see some key examples you identified, and we can continue on that really useful use case that we saw from the hub in China. So yeah, I'm looking forward to follow up on that. So I'm going to hand over now to Ari, and I'll give us an update on their discussions over the last say 24 hours.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, and still I hope we are happy that the rest of the world region consists of the very rich background from the national statistical offices from Mexico, the Colombia, Indonesia as well, Malaysia, the Canada, the Asian Development Bank. We also have the United Nations Framework on Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC, if I'm not mistaken. So also the National Statistics Office from the Canada, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes that joined us yesterday as well. And we are thankful for Bartelt and Veronica that have been generously facilitating our discussion so far. In this group, we have been discussing on the opportunities and challenges on the adoption of the machine learning and the big data to our organization, which is very rich background, as well as we have been discussing on the ongoing machine learning use cases in our own organization as well. The business process, some of business process in our organization we have been discussing require the use of the machine learning and the big data sources that are potentially useful to cater the needs of the organization. However, there are some challenges that are shared between us and we consider relevant to most of us in the groups, including the challenges in the human resources capacity in terms of the sufficient number of the data scientists and machine learning engineers that we discussed yesterday, and also the computing resources that might be challenging for some of the organization, including the developing countries as well. We have been discussing regarding several topics on big data sources, including the satellite images that might be beneficial in multiple fields, from socio-economic, agricultural field, in many organizations in Mexico, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, and also in Colombia, and also the text or natural language processing from the social media. But we should highlight some of the requirements to have a more collaboration and a more discussion between the organization. And we also highlight that the Python courses might be beneficial if we can adopt the Python courses for our human resources capacity. We also have been discussing regarding the privacy issues and the personal data protection, and we learn a lot from the European country that are already facing these challenges, and how we can incorporate the privacy and issue and the personal data protection in our organization, especially in the rest of the world, that the name of the region. So I guess that's all from our sides, and more detailed use cases are having the have been discussing, and it's already on the tables that's already compiled in our previous slides. So that's all from our rest of the world groups. So thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, Ari. I mean, again, it's very broad, and sounds a great table. So I'm looking forward to follow-ups on that. Okay. With that, I'd like to move to the regional hub in Africa, and seeing if Therese is happy for the update.
Thank you. We've had great discussions since yesterday afternoon, and we highlighted to bridge the gap on SDGs, but also we had another interesting project common to everyone here on the table to mention. The countries we have here: Sierra Leone, we have Senegal, we have Nigeria, we have Zimbabwe, Rwanda, UNICEF, and Raf, who was the coordinator. So we highlighted mainly SDGs 9 and 13 as some of the common priorities we can work on using geospatial data, but also the main project that was highlighted, we think we can do it in these 6 months to come, is the classification of occupational free text. Because of our round of censuses, we have collected the data, and we think it can help us in automation, and the machine learning model can help us in the automation and accuracy. So that was all from us. We had some other conversations outside the topics of discussion that we think will help us moving the hub forward. And everyone here will be an ambassador back home for the hub. So maybe that's a summary from us, unless there's a question.
Thank you, Therese. Any questions for Therese? Again, I think it's really good to be able to pin down certain SDGs already, and that. Okay.
Sorry, I had forgotten to highlight challenges, but I will not call them challenges. It's maybe opportunities to work on going forward. We mainly realized we need capacity building to be able to achieve and work on these projects, but also strengthen the relationship and collaboration with other regulators and ministries, because there are some cross-institution projects that require a good collaboration of the institutions. Yeah.
Thank you, Therese. Okay, we'll have some more time for questions after it. So I'll now hand over to the last table. So unfortunately, the UAE had to go, so we continued our discussion here with Qatar and with Palestine. So I'll hand over and I'll finish off. Yeah. You want me to? Yeah. Okay. First of all, yesterday we started to understand, and please chip in if I misunderstood something. It's like it's a very different landscape that the different countries are dealing there. So that's really good to understand. And we initially listened very much to the UAE on their interest in actually in looking at two different data sets, like actually putting mobile phone data set together with credit card data, and just to understand from an economy perspective how much people, particularly tourists, are spending in the UAE, and then with different Emirates they're spending that. So which will give them a real opportunity, because they haven't done that yet before. And then we started to listen very much on the challenges we have in Palestine, and the opportunities regarding actually even just to understand mobile data and what we can do with that. And then we continue this morning to looking more at like capacity building, and like how can we more across the region build some capacity and understand that, because the local universities, even though they offer models around training for data scientists, it's not really at the right level that the statistical officers need. I mean, it's very much often a commercial offering, but the people there are possibly not ready actually to join statistical organizations. And of course, data science is a very interesting and a very popular job and profession at the moment. So we want to train the people as best as possible. So we're going to put our heads together on that. How can we do some kind of capacity building? And then one of the other suggestions was really that we want very much to engage with UNESCO and make sure that it's driven from UNESCO, and actually to understand the needs for that, and that we can also actually then start using like the platform and try to use the regional hubs for that. So I think initially we're going to put our heads together, and then we're also going to reach out to some other countries in that region, and we want to find some kind of data source. And I think Qatar mentioned maybe we can get some access to some mobile phone data, which was used for the census. So we're going to look into that. We're not going to make any promises, and see if we can start using it. Because the best thing, I think, what we're learning all the time is that if we can actually have some kind of tangible project with some kind of data available, that makes it a lot easier for new people to get engaged with and learn something. I think we have a lot of frameworks now, we have a lot of guidance, so now how can we actually start applying that? I'm just looking around. Anything you need to add from our side? No? Okay. I think we had a really good summary from all parties. If there are any, of course, we're going to write all this up and we're going to share this. I think one of the things I like to suggest is that, and I need to of course speak to our UN coordinators very much on how we can best do this. But I would like to think, and this is thinking ahead, maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks we could have a call and just to play back, and then maybe we give every region like 5-10 minutes just to brief back on, okay, we've written it up now, and this is what we propose that we could achieve over the next 6 months. I think Ross summarized it very well in the beginning, like let's find a project that we actually can get ready for the World Data Forum, and see what's achievable on that. So I'm just going to scan around the room once more, otherwise we're going to move on to the next stage, and then Aria and myself start closing up. So any more questions around the workshop? Of course, we'll make all the materials available. You have access to that because there's lots of questions there and guidance. There's of course also the frameworks and the spreadsheets. We got all kind of information that we want to share as much as possible. And I really want to refer and take on the offer that Christoph made earlier around the machine learning training. It's there, so make use of that. And also, of course, that session that I shared earlier on the 30th November, and we're actually going to really dive into the different machine learning categories and proof of concepts we've done over the last 12 months that I think you can all benefit from. Okay, any more questions? Can we put the slide, I think the last slide back on, which will give you also some further information that you can find. I think it's the one after the round table, Ari. Yeah. Yeah, or we'll do it from there, yeah. Go back in the call. Yeah. I think we go one more. And then there's one more. Feet, next steps. Yeah, so go back one slide, please. Yeah. So I just talked about the next steps. So there will be the follow-up, which we'll write to everyone. I think we got all the details over the next couple of weeks, where we propose what we can actually achieve, and then finally, just there's some more information. A lot of the reports we have written is available to everybody. So I can take a photo of this, and we make sure we also put this in the documentation we share with you. Plus, we'll PDF all the presentations. And anything, you just reach out to us, and then we always see how we can help you best. So I think with that, I really want to thank everybody for taking part in this, because that's the important part, that you actually are really engaged in the workshop, and that seems so small groups often seems to wait to really understand on what the gaps are, what the needs are, but also how you can collaborate and share your knowledge. And of course, I really want to finish with thanking Ari and the team, and particularly the whole of BPS for organizing this for us and being so welcoming at this very beautiful location. So thank you, everyone. We have a bit of time now to grab a coffee, and I think we're back in here at 11 o'clock. So everybody got some time. I think they're going to set the room up now. No further questions, but please continue to discuss, mingle. Any questions, then let's take it forward. So thank you very much.
Well, this is the end of our workshop. Hopefully this workshop could bring new insight regarding big data technology for official statistics. Thank you for your attention and active participation. See you again in next event, and goodbye. Okay. For additional information, you can access all the materials and recording in the link on screen. And second information is, for anyone who wants to go to airport tomorrow on Saturday, using a shuttle bus, free shuttle bus from hotel to Yogyakarta International Airport, you can register at the registration table outside. We have 3 times departure. First departure depart at 6 a.m. Second departure will depart at 10:20, and the last departure will depart at 2:30 p.m. And the last information is, if any one of you want to have a city tour, you can register at the registration table. We have 2 packages of city tour, one for a city tour in Yogyakarta, and second for the Borobudur Temple. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Okay. I have still, sorry. I have last announcement. The closing ceremony will start at 11 a.m. sharp. So I expect you to be here at 10:55 on time. Please, thank you. Goodbye.
put pantun for the opening or closing. Awesome, like that. Awesome, like that. And then after my second line, please reply it with artinya. Artinya, yes. Artinya means meaning, the meaning my pantun. Okay, I will read my pantun. Friday night, walking around the city. Spending time, my holiday time. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Afi, and I'm your host today. Good morning, selamat pagi, Om Swastiastu. The Honorable Bapak Imam Mahdi, Deputy Chief Statistician for Statistical Methodology and Information, BPS Statistik Indonesia. Mr. Aswell Jeneker, Deputy Director General for Statistical Support and Informatics at Statistics South Africa. Mr. Ronald Jensen, Assistant Director UN Statistics Division. Mr. Eric Deben from UNS UK. And all distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. We have now come to the end of our 5 days, 7th International Conference on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics, Global Challenge and the Importance of Relevant and Timely Data. During the last 5 days, all participants have fruitful discussion and learned many new things about big data and data science for official statistics in conference, workshop, and hackathon also. Ladies and gentlemen, next, I would like to invite Mr. Aswell Jeneker to deliver a closing remarks. Mr. Aswell Jeneker, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, first of all, let me just say a heartfelt thank you to the Indonesian Statistics Office, but also to all the Indonesian people, not just the Statistics Office, all the ones that we've interacted with. I mean, your hospitality, your smiles, your friendly demeanor has really made a difference to our stay here. And let me just say, you've done your country and your people proud. With all that you've shared, I mean, the food that you've shared, the culture, the batik, and everything that you've done. And also the spirit and the professionalism with which you've organized this conference. I mean, in order for the conference to be like what we see up front, you really had to work hard behind the scenes. And that spirit and professionalism is really appreciated. And that's turned this conference into a, not just world-class, according to me, it is a better than world-class conference that we've attended here in Indonesia. And let me explain why I say it's a better than world-class conference that we've attended. I mean, now we are starting to communicate with different audiences. In the past, it was just statisticians that's talking to statisticians at these conferences. But things are changing. We are now speaking to, or at least we want to speak to the private sector. We want to speak to the public out there. And there's also other important stakeholders within the data ecosystem that we need to speak to. And Monday, the entertainment value of Monday has gone a long way into making that communication possible. If we've got conferences like we've had it in the past, we're not going to reach the audiences that we need to reach. So great show on Monday, and that is what's needed. Secondly, we need to start to reach the people in the street. We need to reach the general public. We need to create goodwill there. And the only way you can do that is if you invite the media. So we've had the media here on Monday. And we've had huge media coverage. In my previous job, I had to look at what does the media say and does the media get our messages right. So I've asked the Imam to just check what did the media say. And surprisingly, the media got the message right. The media understood what we were doing here. And that's good because that means the public will understand what we're doing here. So that's a definite, and that's priceless. I mean, if you're starting to communicate with the public, that puts us at a next level of communication. Thirdly, we've built a body of knowledge here that will last forever. I mean, recording the conference like we're doing, having this live streamed, I mean, there's always the issue of how expensive is it to go to these conferences, but have this conference live streamed means that people right around the world can have access to it, and people will have access to it forever. So it becomes part of the body of knowledge that will transform how we will produce and disseminate statistics in the future. Also to the people, the panel members, the presenters, the moderators, to all of you who've contributed to the content of this conference. I mean, things are changing. I mean, previously we came and we presented and your presentation got hidden away somewhere under a link and someone had to click on that link to see. Now it's live for everyone, scholars, academia, our friends, everyone can look at it. So the presentations that you presented here really represented the decorum, the posture of this conference being live. And when we go to next conferences, we'll also now know it's going to be live and everyone will see it. So we'll think about when we prepare our presentations in the future. Okay, last but not least, let me talk about the future of the world, the young statisticians that took part in the hackathon. I mean, I hope what they've learned they can take with them, and also that would help them in their future endeavors. But also it creates a cadre of people that could spread the message, that will improve lives and will also make the world a better place. I mean, maybe that should be our mantra. So we improve lives and we make the world a better place. Finally, let me just say thank you to all. I mean, thanks for coming. You being here have made this whole exercise useful and has made this whole exercise priceless. And I wish you all of the best for your journeys home, whether you're traveling near or whether you're far. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Aswell Juniker, for the compliment. It is such also a honor for us to host this conference. Now we are moving to the next remarks. I would like to invite Mr. Ronald Jensen to deliver his closing remarks. Mr. Ronald, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, time flies. First, it is a long journey to organize and to get here, and then we have a couple of days together, and we get to the point where we start saying goodbye. Of course, I fully agree with everything that Ashwell just mentioned. And I will just pick up some highlights and some reflections about this week here in Yogyakarta. So one thing, what we wanted to achieve when we started the organization of the 7th conference on big data and data science for official statistics I think was that we have outreach, that we talk to the decision makers, that we talk to those who drive political agendas. And the second point is that we'll try to make progress within our own community. And I think that this conference, it was, we achieved that, and it was above and beyond expectations, definitely for me. You have some expectations when you start organizing it, but I think we certainly, from my view, exceeded that. We had visibility of our work. The first day, as Ashwell mentioned, was extremely well organized, very well communicated, very visible to the outside. It was professional, it was appealing, it was a good way for our community to communicate to other communities. There was visibility to the political leaders, and which we will take back to them. We had dedicated statements from our from the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, from the Undersecretary General, Executive Secretary of UNESCAP, from the Assistant Secretary General, Navid Hanif, but also from ministers here of Indonesia. So there was this connection, what we wanted to achieve, and I think we should also report back to them about how we did it. Main topic of the conference is global challenges and the importance of relevant and timely data. We connected and treated topics like the economic recovery. I think we did that well, food security, and also partnerships for access to relevant data. I think that's one thing where we really focused on, and one thing that Ashwell mentioned is we have to connect with private sector, academia, civil society, the public in general, because this is an area of innovation and modernizations that we cannot do alone. And we would have to reach out and see how we organize ourselves as a very specific community of official statistics, but work with all of those who work in the ecosystem of data in society. One thing I think in this conference, which will come forward and stay with us for the coming years, is that we've put data science for official statistics on the agenda. I think we did that more firmly, especially on the second day. We have the Data Science Leaders Network. We will take that forward, and I think data science will be with our community, but data science is across government and beyond, and I think we have to see how we position ourselves in this in the future. So a few things there is so we have the Data Science Leaders Network. I think also the area of privacy enhancing technologies is something that we've discussed during this week, and I think that's something that it has a lot of political visibility, and we have to see how we can use that to the benefit of facilitating access to privately held data and make our work give us more access to relevant data. I want to come to one of the aspects I think is really important, that we are here in person. So we'll be able here to interact not only by listening to those who are on stage or listening at the workshop level, but also to interact with all of those who are here. So we are a couple of hundred experts in this field, and I think the interactions that we make in the corridors and elsewhere, I think is really important, and I hope that we're going to continue taking that home and working on that. Those are the things I think that make in-person events extremely valuable. I want to thank quite a few people. First of all, big thank you to the whole team of BPS Indonesia, to Imam, Setia, Efliza, Nuke, Dewi, and I could go on. But thank you to the whole team of BPS here in Indonesia. And thank you also to the speakers, the moderators, and the participants for making their way over here. Not easy. to get to Yogyakarta. I'm very happy that everyone put in the time, put in the effort, and was part of this, I think, very, very successful event. Behind the scenes, there was a lot of work. I would also want to recognize that. We have, for instance, on those helping to organize travel, Retno, Kiki, and others of the BPS team, my team at the UN Statistics Division. We have, first of all, Kara here, but also behind the scenes, Catherine. We have Wenxi, we have Clarence, we have others who have been working on that. Local organizers, we have had good support from the Alana Hotel. I also want to recognize that. We had very good support from Theresia. I think it was a great event organizer. So I would say also an applause for them, who we don't see, but who've made this possible. Thank you. The one last thing is the hackathon. Hackathon is a major event. There have also been numerous people who have been working on that. First of all, thank you to the UN Youth Group, who's not with us here, but they have also been there organizing this event. The AIS task team, led by Marky and others, who have been really putting a lot of effort to make the hackathon work, and also have done other parts of the conference. The technology side, I want to point out on my own team, Sean Lovell, he's been working tirelessly to make this hackathon happen, but also the AWS team. So they have been, I really have to point that out, they have been putting in a lot of volunteer effort to make this hackathon a good user-friendly experience for all of the hackathon team and participants. Also, the UN's Pet Lab hackathon was there, was Jack and others who have organized that. And again, many, many volunteers who I can't name behind the scenes who made the 2022 UN Big Data Hackathon a success, and a big thank you to them. I would like also to give an applause separately for this hackathon organizers. Looking forward, I hope we stay in touch. My main message, stay in touch. Use the connections that you built this week. This is an area of innovation and modernization where there is always a lot of work ahead of us. It's better to do it together. So please stay in touch. Let's keep working together and produce relevant data which may help improve this world we live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald. Next, I would like to invite Bapak Imam Mahdi to deliver the closing remarks and willingness to officially closing the conference. Bapak Imam Mahdi, the time is yours.
It seems like it's still in the morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, honorables and distinguished delegates, UNSD representatives, Ronald Janssen, UNCBD committee, Ashwell Janakar, all international organizations, distinguished delegates from NSOs from 35 different countries, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to say goodbye, actually. Okay, first of all, I would like to report what's going on for the last 5 days here in Yogyakarta. Since the first day, the opening ceremony, it was very amazing. I was surprised also. I don't know either about the situations, but however, that all the teams made some arrangements, and I think it was really good. The participants came here in the first day, around more than 400 participants. And also I would like to thank for all the speakers in the high level session, the first day and the second day, and also there are some, on the second day also there are some big UN committee of experts on big data and data science for official statistics. It's also providing the hackathon and also 4 panel sessions involving 5 moderators and 19 panelists. Thank you very much for giving some information and exchange their knowledge to us. In the hackathon, there are 77 participants or in 20 teams, and they are currently still struggle. I think they will close at 2 p.m. right today. So, however, I hope that all participants still, show their eagerness to complete their task. In the workshop activities, thank you for all the participants. We are divided into classes. In total, we have about 145 participants from 35 representatives of the countries and institutions. There are 27 speakers from 5 subjects: Path Lab, Earth Observation, AIS, MPD, and Machine Learning. And specifically for the Machine Learning, there were 2 additional speakers from the NSO UAE. Thank you very much for giving more insight to how machine learning has been implemented in their country. And out of 27 speakers, 23 speakers are coming this on-site in this Yogyakarta, and 4 speakers presented in online way. So I hope that all knowledge gained through this conference, workshop, and hackathon will be very beneficial to all participants. So in general, I would like to say again, thank you for all of you, participants, speakers, moderators, and mentors, for sharing your knowledge and exchanging ideas among us. And also thank you for the all organizing committee, program committee, not only from BPS, but also from UNSD, different parts of the countries. You're coming all the way far from here, and finally you reach here in Yogyakarta. It's really, really highly appreciated to come to this event. You know that the value of successful this event for being collaborative in the event as well as in the implementation of big data for official statistics. So you are coming here, it gives impact to Yogyakarta city, not only in the economic side, but also giving the view to the public that big data is really, really something important to be reached, to be realized for producing the official statistics. We are optimistic that big data will be realized and produced for official statistics nowadays and the near future, since you know that all the young statisticians have shown enthusiasm and eagerness to participate in the hackathon. They're providing their big ideas for big data for official statistics. And finally, I would like to say apology to all of you if there are any inconvenience or shortcoming, that we try to do the best possible services to you for your comfortness, for your safety and hospitality in conducting this event. So I hope that you will come back again in Yogyakarta for another event. Thank you very much.
Bapak Imam, would you like to give the officially closing the conference, please?
Berapa kali tutup? 3 kali. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so it's now the time officially we close the 7th International Conference on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics.
you, Bapak Imam. Ladies and gentlemen, to make this event everlasting in our memory, I would like to invite all of you to the flash mob Maumere dance. Maumere dance is a traditional dance from Indonesia. You can follow the instruction on the screen while moving to the stage because we will take a photo together. Please, would you like to stand up and do the flash mob of Maumere dance? Please, committee participant, would you like to do the instructor? Please. Music. Yeah. Go up, please. To the left, ke kiri, to the left, to the left. After that, we move to the right. Okay, you can go right to the drone and say left to the drone. Hello drone. La 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 la, silaso. To the left. Oh, belum ya? Belum ya? I would like to invite all of you to move to the front stage. We want to take a picture. Okay. Maybe we'll go up to the stage. Some of you move to the upstage, and then the rest move to the left. to the right. Okay, to the right. Okay, thank you. I hope you don't get dizzy because moving around. Okay, now we would like to take a group picture, and the rest of all participants can join in the stage or in front of the stage, please. We will take three group session. One from camera, and then the second one with the drone from above. Tadi katanya mau ditarik ini. Minta bantuan IO-nya. Okay, maybe you can fulfill the center one. Fulfill the stage, no problem. Please move to the center. Nah, great, thank you. Mrs., maybe you can hear? Ditarik bisa? Ya. Ditarik bawahnya ini. Oke. Drone mana drone? Drone mana drone? Mas Is. Oke. Wow, we have many big team, big data, big team, yes. Okay, we will take a 3-session photo. The first photo will be taken with the camera. And the second one, we will take a video from the drone. And the third one, if I say ICBD 2022, all of you reply it with istimewa. Yeah, istimewa is like great, awesome, special, istimewa. Okay? I would like to join too. Oke. Okay.
Foto dulu Mbak Afi.
Kamera.
In my count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait a second.
Once again. Once more.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait a second. Woo! Woo! Hand rise.
And the second one, you can see the drone. Please wave and your big smile to the drone. Yeah. Okay. ICBD 2022 Istimewa! Thank you. This is the end of the closing ceremony. On behalf of the committee, we would like to apologize for any inconvenience that you might find during the event. I would like to give your pantun again, once more in the closing. Okay, please, cakep and artinya, okay. Monkey is stealing the apple pie. It pressed a button to open the gateway. I promise this is not our goodbye. I will see you again someday. Okay, thank you. All the joy moment can be happen with support by our sponsor. We would like to express our gratitude to Telkomsel, University of Tokyo, Location Mind, DataProvider.com, Oblivious, United Nations Country Team Indonesia, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee, AWS. And ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite you to watch the recap of five days of conference. Maybe you can stay here to watch the movie.
Sudah bisa?
Okay.
Sambil nunggu ada absensi administrasi yang mau keluar duluan, suruh absen di meja peserta, pilih nggak?
Buat mahasiswa is in the Mataram.
Okay. For the Muslim people, you can have a Friday prayer in Mataram Masjid below this ballroom. Downstairs. Free shuttle Alana YIA meeting point El Clasico Alana for the people, for the ladies and gentlemen who. Okay, video. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite you to watch the recap of our 5 days from the first one and until the 5th day of conference. Please watch this. You can watch the recap.
Malam loh, jadi.
Anyone who wants to take free shuttle from Alana to Yogyakarta International Airport for tomorrow, please register at the registration table outside. There are very limited seats, so make sure you are registered first. Or as an alternative, you can take train from Tugu Station to Yogyakarta International Airport. The schedule is on screen.
Itu harusnya di awal ya. Kan nanggung salah ya. Neng gue ini seneng. Ya me wong piro. Oh ini 80% gagal iki. Ya 20% ini gak mengurangi kegagalan.